Matt Damon rushes through the busy streets of New York City, completely unaware that he's about to lose something that could change two lives forever. Across the city, a homeless young woman struggles to survive another day, until she stumbles upon something that will test her character and her courage. What happens next will restore your faith in humanity and prove that sometimes the universe has the most unexpected ways of bringing people together. To continue listening to this beautiful and special story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Write your name and the city you're watching from so I can include a special shout out for you in an upcoming story. The morning sun cast long shadows across Manhattan's concrete jungle as Matt Damon stepped out of the glass doors of the prestigious Goldman Entertainment Building. His phone buzzed incessantly against his ear, the voice of his agent crackling through the speaker with barely contained excitement. "Matt, this is it. This is the project we've been waiting for." Sarah's voice was practically vibrating with enthusiasm. "The studio executives loved your pitch. They're ready to greenlight the entire trilogy, but we need those signed contracts on their desk by tonight." Matt adjusted his leather messenger bag on his shoulder, feeling the weight of the documents inside. Those papers weren't just contracts. They represented 3 years of development, countless meetings, and the potential to cement his legacy in Hollywood. The bag also contained his passport for the international flight later that evening, cash for his trip, and a small leather journal his daughter had given him for his birthday, filled with her drawings and notes that he treasured more than any award. "Sarah, you know I've got this," Matt replied, navigating through the crowd of New Yorkers rushing to their morning destinations. "The contracts are signed, sealed, and ready to deliver. This project means everything to me." As he spoke, camera flashes began popping around him. A small group of paparazzi had spotted him, and within seconds, the peaceful morning transformed into controlled chaos. Matt had learned over the years how to handle these situations with grace, but today felt different. The pressure of the multi-million-dollar deal combined with his tight schedule made every second count. "Mr. Damon, can we get a quick photo?" the photographers called out, their cameras clicking rapidly. Matt smiled politely, raising his hand in a friendly wave while continuing to walk. His mind was racing through his schedule: deliver the contracts, catch a flight to Los Angeles for a brief meeting, then straight to the airport for his international commitment. Every minute was accounted for, every detail planned to perfection. The crowd pressed closer, and Matt found himself moving faster, his grip tightening on his phone as Sarah continued discussing the project details. The noise of the city, honking cars, construction work, street vendors calling out their wares, created a symphony of urban chaos that was both familiar and overwhelming. "The international investors are particularly excited about the humanitarian angle of the story," Sarah continued. "They believe your personal involvement in charitable work adds authenticity that audiences will connect with." Matt nodded, even though she couldn't see him. The irony wasn't lost on him that they were discussing a project about human connection and compassion while he rushed through a city where thousands of people struggled daily just to survive. But such was the nature of his world, always moving, always planning, always thinking 3 steps ahead. As he approached the corner of 42nd Street, the crowd of photographers began to disperse, sensing that their opportunity for candid shots was diminishing. Matt felt his shoulders relax slightly, but his pace remained urgent. Time was his most precious commodity, and today he had very little of it to spare. The yellow taxi pulled away from the curb, leaving Matt standing outside the elegant restaurant where his next meeting awaited. He reached for his phone to check the time and felt a moment of satisfaction. Despite the morning's chaos with the paparazzi, he was still on schedule. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was considerably calmer. Soft jazz music played in the background, and the gentle clink of silverware against fine china created a soothing rhythm. Matt's business associate, David Chen, a successful film producer, was already seated at their reserved table, reviewing documents on his tablet. "Matt, perfect timing," David stood to greet him with a firm handshake. "I've been looking over the preliminary budget reports. The numbers are even better than we anticipated." As they settled into their conversation about production schedules and casting decisions, Matt felt completely absorbed in the creative process. This was the part of his career he loved most, the collaborative effort to bring meaningful stories to life. They discussed potential filming locations, debated the merits of different directors, and explored how to balance commercial appeal with artistic integrity. "The thing that excites me most about this project," Matt said, leaning forward with genuine enthusiasm, "is that it has the potential to spark real conversations about empathy and human connection. In a world where people are increasingly divided, stories like this remind us of our shared humanity." David nodded thoughtfully. "That's exactly why the international markets are so interested. Universal themes transcend cultural boundaries." Their conversation flowed seamlessly from creative vision to practical logistics. Matt found himself completely immersed in the discussion, his usual awareness of time temporarily forgotten. It wasn't until David glanced at his watch and mentioned the late hour that Matt realized they had been talking for nearly 2 hours. "I hate to cut this short," David said, "but I have a conference call with our European partners in 20 minutes. Matt checked his own watch and felt a spike of panic. His flight was in 3 hours, and he still needed to return to his hotel, pack, and make his way to the airport. As they stood to leave, Matt's mind automatically shifted into travel mode. Passport, boarding pass, phone charger, the signed contracts, the contracts. His hand instinctively moved toward his shoulder, expecting to feel the familiar weight of his leather bag. Nothing. His heart skipped a beat as he looked around the restaurant, then down at his chair, then under the table. "David, did you see my bag when I came in?" Matt's voice carried a note of concern that made his colleague immediately alert. "I don't recall seeing one. Are you sure you had it with you?" Matt's mind raced backward through the day. He distinctly remembered having the bag when he left the Goldman Entertainment building. He remembered adjusting it on his shoulder while talking to Sarah. He remembered feeling its weight as he navigated through the crowd of photographers. But when had he last consciously felt it? When had he last seen it? "I need to make some calls," Matt said, his voice tight with growing anxiety. "Those contracts, they can't be replaced overnight." As David offered to help search the restaurant one more time, Matt's phone was already pressed to his ear, calling Sarah. The calm confidence he had felt just moments earlier was rapidly dissolving into something approaching panic. 8 blocks away from Matt's restaurant, Anna Martinez sat on a worn wooden bench in a small pocket park, counting the few crumpled dollar bills she had earned from cleaning car windshields at traffic lights. The morning had been particularly difficult. Many drivers had waved her away impatiently, some had rolled up their windows when they saw her approaching, and one had actually cursed at her for leaving streaks on his windshield. 22, Anna had been living on the streets of New York for almost 8 months. The path that led her here had been a series of unfortunate events that seemed to compound with each passing day. First, her mother's sudden illness and death had left her with medical bills she couldn't pay. Then, the loss of her minimum wage job due to company downsizing. Finally, the eviction notice that came just as winter began to settle over the city. She had tried staying in shelters, but the overcrowding and unsafe conditions drove her back to the streets. Anna had always been independent, perhaps too much so, and asking for help didn't come naturally to her. Instead, she had developed a routine of survival that required constant vigilance and unwavering determination. Every morning, she would wake up in whatever safe corner she had found the night before, fold her single blanket, and begin the daily search for work. She had printed out dozens of resumes at the public library, but without a permanent address or a phone number that potential employers could reach, finding legitimate employment seemed impossible. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, a daily affirmation she had adopted to keep despair at bay. Today is going to be different. Anna looked at the small collection of bills in her palm. $7.35, enough for a cup of coffee and maybe a small pastry from the bodega that sometimes gave her day-old items at a discount. She carefully folded the money and placed it in the zippered pocket of her worn jacket, the same jacket she had been wearing for months. As she prepared to leave the bench and continue her search for work, something caught her eye. Near the park's edge, partially hidden behind a trash can, was what appeared to be a leather bag. Anna looked around to see if anyone was searching for it, but the park was mostly empty except for a few joggers and dog walkers who seemed focused on their own activities. Curiosity overcame her caution as she approached the bag. It was clearly expensive. Genuine leather with brass fittings and a quality that spoke of craftsmanship. Her first instinct was to look for someone who might have dropped it, But as minutes passed without anyone appearing, Anna began to wonder if it had been abandoned or thrown away. She knelt beside the bag, her heart beating faster than it should have been. There was something both thrilling and terrifying about the unknown. In her months on the street, Anna had learned to find value in things others discarded, but this felt different. This felt significant. With trembling hands, she picked up the bag and was surprised by its weight. Something important was inside. She could feel the bulk of papers and other items shifting as she lifted it. Anna looked around once more, half expecting someone to come running and claim their lost property. When no one appeared, she made a decision that would change everything. She would open the bag, see if there was any identification inside, and try to return it to its rightful owner. It was the right thing to do, even if a small part of her mind whispered about what she could do with whatever valuable items might be inside. Anna found a secluded corner of the park, behind a large oak tree that provided both privacy and a good view of anyone who might approach. Her hands shook slightly as she worked to open the leather bag's clasps. The metal was cold against her fingers, and she could feel the weight of anticipation building in her chest. When the bag finally opened, Anna's breath caught in her throat. She had expected perhaps some business documents, maybe a laptop or tablet. What she found was beyond her wildest imagination. Neat stacks of cash were arranged in one compartment, more money than Anna had seen in her entire life. There had to be thousands of dollars, crisp bills bound with rubber bands. Her eyes widened as she tried to process what she was seeing. Next to the money were several official-looking documents, a passport, and what appeared to be contracts with letterheads from major entertainment companies. With trembling hands, Anna picked up the passport. The photograph showed a man she recognized but couldn't immediately place. The name read Matthew Page Damon, and suddenly everything clicked into place. Matt Damon, the movie star, the Academy Award winner, the man whose films she had watched in better times, when she still had a home and could afford the luxury of entertainment. "Oh my God," she whispered, looking around nervously as if someone might be watching her. "This is really happening." Anna carefully examined the other contents of the bag. There were plane tickets for a flight that evening, credit cards, and a small leather journal filled with what appeared to be a child's drawings and messages. The innocence of the artwork stood in stark contrast to the serious business documents, and Anna realized these were probably drawings from Matt Damon's own children. The weight of the discovery settled on her shoulders like a heavy blanket. This wasn't just money or documents. This was someone's entire life contained in a single bag. The passport meant he couldn't travel without it. The contracts looked official and time-sensitive. The cash, while significant to her, was probably just convenience money for him. Anna closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She could feel the crossroads moment approaching, the decision that would define not just her immediate future, but the kind of person she truly was. With this money, she could find a place to stay tonight. She could buy proper clothes for job interviews. She could get back on her feet and start rebuilding her life. But as she held the small journal with its innocent drawings, Anna felt something stirring in her chest that had nothing to do with money or survival. It was the same feeling she had experienced as a child when she found a lost toy and spent hours searching for its owner. It was the feeling her mother had taught her was the most important one a person could have, the desire to do the right thing, even when no one was watching. What would Mom think? Anna asked herself, her voice barely audible in the quiet of the park. She remembered her mother's words from years earlier. "Mija, anyone can do the right thing when it's easy. The measure of a person is what they do when doing the right thing costs them something." Anna looked at the money again, then at the passport, then at the childish drawings that spoke to her father's love. She thought about her empty stomach, her need for shelter, her desperate situation. Then she thought about Matt Damon, somewhere in the city, probably panicking about his lost documents and missing flight. The decision, when it came, felt both impossible and inevitable. Anna carefully repacked the bag, making sure everything was exactly as she had found it. Her decision was made, but now came the practical challenge. How does a homeless young woman find one of the most famous actors in the world in a city of 8 million people? She started with what seemed like the most logical approach. Anna walked to the nearest newsstand and asked the elderly vendor if he knew anything about Matt Damon being in the city. The movie guy? The man looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Lady, guys like that don't exactly leave forwarding addresses with us regular folks. Why you asking? Anna realized she couldn't tell the truth without drawing unwanted attention to herself or the bag. I heard he might be filming something around here. I'm a big fan. The vendor shrugged and turned back to arranging his magazines. Anna thanked him and moved on, but the interaction had highlighted a problem she hadn't considered. Her appearance, unwashed hair, worn clothes, the general look of someone living on the streets, made people immediately suspicious of her motives. She spent the next hour approaching doormen at upscale hotels, reasoning that celebrities often stayed in luxury accommodations. The responses were uniformly polite, but unhelpful. Most doormen wouldn't confirm or deny whether any celebrity was staying at their establishment, and Anna's appearance made it clear she wasn't someone they would share such information with anyway. As the afternoon wore on, Anna's frustration grew. She had tried calling several talent agencies, but getting past receptionists without credentials or a clear purpose proved impossible. She had even gone to the public library to use their computers, hoping to find some contact information online, but Matt Damon's representatives were well protected by layers of professional gatekeepers. Sitting on the library steps with the bag beside her, Anna felt the weight of the impossible task she had set for herself. Every rational voice in her head was telling her to give up, to take what she needed and walk away. No one would blame her. She was in survival mode, and society had already forgotten about people like her, but something deeper kept pushing her forward. Maybe it was her mother's voice, still echoing in her memory. Maybe it was the sight of those innocent drawings in the journal, or maybe it was simply the knowledge that somewhere in the city, a father was worried about missing his daughter's artwork more than he was worried about the money. As evening approached, Anna made one more attempt. She approached a food truck vendor who seemed friendly and less intimidating than the hotel doorman. "Excuse me," she said carefully. "I know this sounds strange, but I found something that belongs to Matt Damon and I'm trying to figure out how to get it back to him." The vendor, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, looked at her more carefully than most people had that day. "You serious?" he asked. "What did you find?" Anna hesitated, then decided on partial truth. "His bag, it has important documents in it. I just want to do the right thing and return it." Something in Anna's earnest tone must have convinced him, because the vendor pulled out his phone. "My nephew works at one of those entertainment blogs," he said. "Maybe he knows something." "Hold on." As the vendor made his call, Anna felt a spark of hope for the first time all day. Maybe, just maybe, the universe was providing a path forward. The food truck vendor's nephew turned out to be Marcus, a 24-year-old aspiring journalist who wrote for a small but growing entertainment blog. When his uncle called and explained Anna's situation, Marcus's journalistic instincts immediately kicked in. "Tell her to meet me at the Starbucks on 34th Street in an hour," Marcus told his uncle. "And tell her to bring whatever she found. If this is legit, it could be a huge story." Anna felt nervous about meeting a stranger, but she was running out of options. As she sat in the busy coffee shop, clutching the leather bag and nursing a small coffee that represented a significant portion of her daily budget, she wondered if she was making a mistake. Marcus arrived exactly on time. A young man with an eager expression and a laptop bag slung over his shoulder. He spotted Anna immediately. Her anxious posture and protective grip on the leather bag made her easy to identify. "Anna?" he asked, sliding into the seat across from her. "I'm Marcus. My uncle said you found something belonging to Matt Damon?" Anna nodded, studying his face carefully. There was something genuine about Marcus that put her slightly at ease. "I need you to understand," Anna said carefully. "I'm not looking for money or publicity. I just want to return this to him. It has important things inside." Marcus leaned forward with interest. "Can you show me what you found? I promise I'm not trying to take advantage of you. I just want to help." After a moment's hesitation, Anna opened the bag slightly, just enough for Marcus to see the passport and some of the documents. His eyes widened with recognition and excitement. "This is incredible," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Do you realize what you have here? These look like major contract documents, and if that passport is real—" He trailed off, pulling out his phone. "I need to make some calls." "Wait," Anna said quickly. "I don't want this to become some big media circus. I just want to find him and return his property." Marcus paused, his finger hovering over his phone screen. He looked at Anna more carefully, taking in her worn clothes and the obvious signs of someone struggling to survive. "Can I ask you something?" he said gently. "How long have you been on the streets?" Anna stiffened, defensive. "What does that matter?" "It matters because what you're doing right now is remarkable," Marcus replied. "Most people in your situation would have taken the money and disappeared. The fact that you're sitting here, trying to return something worth thousands of dollars to someone who'll never miss it, that's a story people need to hear." Anna shook her head. "I'm not a story. I'm just trying to do the right thing." "Exactly," Marcus said, "and that's exactly why people need to hear about this. Look, I have contacts in the entertainment industry. I can help you find Matt Damon's representatives. But Anna, what you're doing deserves recognition. It might even help you get back on your feet." For the first time since finding the bag, Anna allowed herself to consider the possibility that this situation might lead to something positive for her own life. Not through taking what wasn't hers, but through doing the right thing and perhaps having that recognized. "If I agree to let you help," Anna said slowly, "can you promise me that finding Matt Damon comes first? Before any story, before any publicity?" Marcus nodded immediately. "Absolutely. Finding him is the priority." As Marcus began making calls to his industry contacts, Anna felt a mixture of hope and anxiety. The simple act of trying to return a lost bag was becoming something much larger, something that might change her life in ways she never could have imagined. Within hours of Marcus posting about Anna's search on social media, the story began to spread like wildfire across the internet. His initial post was simple. "Young woman found Matt Damon's lost bag with important documents and money. She's been walking around NYC all day trying to find him to return it. Has anyone seen a more honest person lately?" Faith Humanity restored. Matt Damon restored. Lost bag NYC. The post included a photo of Anna sitting in the park, carefully holding the bag, her face showing the earnest determination that had driven her all day. Marcus had been careful not to reveal the exact contents of the bag or Anna's personal circumstances, but something about the image resonated with people immediately. Within the first hour, the post had been shared hundreds of times. By the second hour, it was in the thousands. Local news outlets began picking up the story, and by evening, Anna found herself at the center of a social media phenomenon she didn't fully understand. "Anna, you need to see this," Marcus said, showing her his phone as they sat in a 24-hour diner. "Look at these comments." Anna read over his shoulder, amazed by the outpouring of support from complete strangers. "This young woman is what's right with the world. I hope Matt Damon sees this and does something amazing for her. We need more people like Anna in this world. Someone find this girl and give her a job." But it wasn't just social media. Local news stations had picked up the story, and This phone was ringing constantly with requests for interviews. Anna felt overwhelmed by the sudden attention. "I just wanted to return his bag," she said, her voice small in the noisy diner. "I didn't want all this." "I know," Marcus replied gently. "But Anna, look at what you've done. You've reminded thousands of people that good still exists in the world. In a time when all we hear about is bad news, you've shown everyone that honesty and integrity still matter." As if on cue, Marcus's phone rang again. This time, his expression changed as he listened to the caller. "Are you serious?" he said into the phone. "When? Where?" Anna watched his face, trying to read the conversation. "That was a producer from Good Morning America," Marcus said after hanging up. "Matt Damon's representatives have seen the story. They want to arrange a meeting." Anna felt her heart skip a beat. After all the searching, all the worry about whether she was doing the right thing, the moment she had been working toward was finally within reach. When? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Tomorrow morning. They want to film the return of the bag for the show. Anna's mind raced. Television cameras, national audience, Matt Damon himself. It was everything she had never wanted and everything she had somehow made inevitable by simply trying to do the right thing. Marcus, she said carefully, what happens after I give him the bag? What happens to me then? It was a question that had been lurking in the back of her mind all day. Once the bag was returned, once the story was told, she would still be homeless. She would still be struggling to survive. The only difference would be that her struggle might now be public knowledge. Marcus reached across the table and placed his hand over hers. Anna, I think you're about to find out that doing the right thing has a way of creating opportunities you never saw coming. As they sat in the diner, surrounded by the late-night crowd of shift workers and insomniacs, Anna tried to prepare herself for whatever tomorrow would bring. She had started the day with $7.35 and a simple desire to survive another day. Now, she was about to meet one of the most famous actors in the world on national television because she had chosen honesty over desperation. Anna barely slept that night. Marcus had arranged for her to stay in a small hotel room, the first real bed she had experienced in months, but her mind was too active to find rest. She kept replaying the events of the past day, wondering if she had made the right decisions, wondering what Matt Damon would be like in person, wondering what would happen after the cameras stopped rolling. At dawn, she stood in front of the hotel bathroom mirror, trying to make herself look presentable for national television. Marcus had brought her some basic toiletries and a simple but clean outfit from a nearby thrift store. As she brushed her hair for the first time in weeks, Anna barely recognized the person looking back at her. "This is really happening," she whispered to her reflection. The Good Morning America studio was unlike anything Anna had ever experienced. The bright lights, the bustling crew members, the multiple cameras positioned at different angles, it all felt surreal. Marcus stayed close to her side, offering quiet encouragement as the producers explained how the segment would work. "Matt's representatives confirmed he'll be here," the producer explained to Anna. "We're going to do a brief interview with you first, then bring him out for the reunion. Try to just be natural and tell your story honestly." Anna nodded, clutching the leather bag that had started this entire journey, the bag that had tested her character and somehow led her to this moment. As she sat in the interview chair, waiting for the cameras to start rolling, Anna thought about her mother. What would she think seeing her daughter on national television? Would she be proud of the choice Anna had made? And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2. The floor director pointed to the host. "Good morning, I'm Robin Roberts, and we have an extraordinary story of honesty and integrity to share with you today. With me is Anna Martinez, a young woman whose simple act of doing the right thing has captured the hearts of millions. Anna, tell us how this all started." Anna took a deep breath and began to tell her story. She spoke about finding the bag, about recognizing Matt Damon's name on the passport, about the internal struggle between her desperate circumstances and her moral compass. She talked about her search through the city, about meeting Marcus, about never wavering from her decision to return what wasn't hers. "What went through your mind when you opened that bag and saw all that money?" Robin asked gently. Anna was quiet for a moment, considering her answer carefully. "I thought about my mother," she said finally. "She taught me that who you are isn't determined by what you have or don't have. It's determined by what you do when nobody's watching. And even though I was alone in that park, I knew she was still watching somehow." As Anna spoke, she could see the crew members around the cameras, and she noticed that many of them were visibly moved by her words. The sincerity in her voice, the genuine nature of her struggle, was touching everyone in the room. "Anna," Robin said, "I understand that you've been experiencing some difficult times personally. Can you tell us about that?" Anna had hoped this question wouldn't come up, but she realized that her story wouldn't make complete sense without the context of her circumstances. "I've been homeless for about 8 months, she said quietly. "I lost my job, couldn't pay my rent, and have been trying to get back on my feet. Finding that bag, I won't lie, I thought about what that money could do for me. but taking it would have made me someone I don't want to be. The studio was completely quiet except for the hum of the cameras. Anna's honesty was creating a moment of television that everyone present knew was special. "Well, Anna," Robin said with a smile, "I think it's time you met the owner of that bag. Please welcome Matt Damon." As Matt Damon walked onto the Good Morning America set, Anna felt her breath catch. Seeing him in person, after carrying his belongings for an entire day, felt surreal. He looked tired, probably from the stress of losing such important documents, but his eyes were warm and focused entirely on her. "Anna," he said, approaching her with genuine emotion in his voice, "I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am for what you've done." Anna stood up, still holding his bag, and extended it toward him with trembling hands. "This belongs to you," she said simply. "I'm sorry it took so long to find you." Matt took the bag, but instead of checking its contents, he set it aside and looked directly at Anna. "Do you mind if I ask you something?" he said gently. "Why? You could have kept this, used what was inside to change your situation. Why did you choose to look for me instead?" Anna had been asked this question in various forms all morning, but hearing it from Matt himself made her consider her answer more deeply. "Because it wasn't mine," she said, "and because I saw the drawings in your journal, from your children, and I thought about how you would feel knowing they were missing, and I couldn't be the reason for that." Matt's eyes filled with tears. He reached into the bag and pulled out the small leather journal. "These drawings are from my youngest daughter," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "He made this journal for me when I'd travel, so I can take her with me everywhere. You're absolutely right. Losing this would have broken my heart, more than losing all the money and contracts combined." Robin Roberts, watching this exchange, could see that something special was happening between these two people from completely different worlds. "Matt," she said, "what goes through your mind when you meet someone who made this choice under these circumstances?" Matt was quiet for a moment, still looking at Anna with something that resembled wonder. "Honestly, it makes me realize how much I have to learn about courage," he said. "Anna, what you did, it's the kind of character that most people talk about but never actually demonstrate. You didn't just find my bag and return it. You've reminded me and everyone watching what real integrity looks like." He turned to face Anna more directly. "I want to ask you something, and I want you to think about it seriously before you answer. I've been looking for someone to join my team, someone to help coordinate my charitable foundation work. It requires someone with organizational skills, dedication, and most importantly, someone with the kind of moral character that can't be taught. Would you be interested in talking about that opportunity?" Anna felt the words hit her like a physical force. A job, a real job, with someone who seemed to understand her values rather than judge her circumstances. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "Say you'll think about it," Matt replied. "Say you'll let me help you get back on your feet, because honestly, Anna, after what you've done for me, helping you isn't charity. It's the least I can do, and it would be an honor." As the cameras continued to roll, capturing this moment of genuine human connection, Anna felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Not just hope for survival, but hope for a future that might be meaningful and purposeful. "Yes," she said quietly. "Yes, I would like to talk about that opportunity." The studio erupted in applause from the crew members who had been watching this extraordinary exchange. Robin Roberts wiped away tears as she realized she had just witnessed television history in the making. 3 months later, Anna stood in the office of the Damon Foundation, looking out the window at the bustling streets of Manhattan. The view from the 20th floor was dramatically different from the street-level perspective she had known for so long. She wore professional clothes that actually fit her hair was styled, and most importantly, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had found her purpose. The transition hadn't been easy. Learning to navigate office environments, understanding the complexities of charitable work, and adjusting to having a regular income and stable housing had all required significant adaptation. But Matt had been true to his word, providing not just employment, but mentorship and genuine friendship. Anna's role at the foundation had evolved naturally from her life experiences. Her first-hand understanding of homelessness and poverty gave her insights that proved invaluable in developing effective programs. She had helped redesign several initiatives to better serve people who were often overlooked by traditional charitable approaches. "Anna, the quarterly reports are ready for your review," called James, her assistant. The fact that she now had an assistant still amazed her sometimes. As she reviewed the foundation's impact statistics, Anna felt a deep sense of satisfaction. In just 3 months, they had launched a new program that provided job training and placement services specifically designed for people experiencing homelessness. The program was showing remarkable success rates, partly because Anna insisted on treating participants with the dignity and respect she had wished for during her own difficult times. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Marcus, who had become a close friend and was now working as a freelance journalist covering social impact stories. "Check your email, you're going to love this." Anna opened her laptop and found an email from a major news network requesting an interview about the foundation's work. The subject line read, "Follow-up story, Anna Martinez, From Streets to Solutions." She smiled, remembering how terrified she had been of media attention just a few months earlier. Now she understood that sharing her story wasn't about seeking attention for herself. It was about giving hope to others who might be facing similar struggles. Later that afternoon, Matt stopped by her office, as he did most days when he was in town. "How are things going?" he asked, settling into the chair across from her desk. "Really well," Anna replied. "The job placement program just hit a 78% success rate, and I've been thinking about expanding the mentorship component." "That's fantastic," Matt said, but Anna could see he had something else on his mind. "What is it?" she asked. Matt smiled. "I got a call from the mayor's office this morning. They want to present you with a Civilian Service Award for your work with the foundation. Apparently the program you developed is being studied as a model for other cities." Anna felt a familiar mix of pride and humility wash over her. The recognition was meaningful, but what mattered most was knowing that the work was making a real difference in people's lives. "You know what I've been thinking about lately?" Anna said, leaning back in her chair. "That day in the park, when I first opened your bag, I thought I was facing the hardest decision of my life. Keep the money and change my circumstances, or return it and stay in the same difficult situation." Matt nodded, listening intently. "But it wasn't really a choice at all," Anna continued, "because keeping your things wouldn't have changed who I am inside. It would have given me temporary relief, but permanent regret. Turning the bag didn't just give you back your belongings, it gave me back my self-respect. And look where that self-respect has led you," Matt pointed out. "Anna, you've helped more people in the past 3 months than most people help in a lifetime. The ripple effect of your decision that day is still expanding." As evening approached, Anna prepared to leave the office. On her desk sat a framed photo from that first Good Morning America appearance, showing the moment when she handed Matt his bag. Next to it was a letter from a homeless shelter in Los Angeles, thanking her for inspiring their new job training program. But the item she treasured most was a drawing that had arrived in the mail the week before. It was from Matt's daughter, the same little girl whose artwork had been in the journal Anna had protected. The drawing showed 2 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow, with the words, "Thank you for taking care of Daddy's bag and for being so nice," written in careful child's handwriting. Anna's phone buzzed with a text from Matt. "Foundation board meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're discussing the expansion to 3 new cities. Hope you're ready to change more lives." She smiled as she typed back, "Ready when you are." Walking home through the same streets where she had once struggled to survive, Anna reflected on the extraordinary journey that had brought her to this moment. She passed the park where she had found the bag, the bench where she had made her decision, the corner where she had first asked a stranger if they knew Matt Damon. In her apartment that night, Anna sat at her desk and began writing in a journal, a habit she had developed since starting work at the foundation. Tonight's entry began, 3 months ago, I was a homeless young woman who found a bag belonging to a stranger. Tonight, I am someone who has learned that the smallest acts of integrity can create the largest waves of change. She paused, thinking about all the people whose lives had been touched by that single moment of choice. Tomorrow, I'll wake up and continue the work of helping others find their way back to hope. But tonight, I'm grateful for a mother who taught me that character isn't about what you do when people are watching. It's about who you choose to be when you think no one will ever know. Anna closed the journal and looked out her window at the city lights of Manhattan. Somewhere out there were people facing their own difficult choices, their own moments of moral testing. She hoped that somehow her story might give them the courage to choose the harder path, the right path, the path that leads to being able to live with yourself. The bag had been returned, the story had been told, but the real work of changing the world, one honest choice at a time, was just beginning. Thank you so much for listening to this beautiful story of Anna and Matt. It reminds us all that sometimes the most difficult choices lead to the most beautiful outcomes. No matter where you are in life, no matter what challenges you're facing, remember that your character is defined by the choices you make when it would be easier to choose differently. I hope this story has touched your heart the way it touched mine in telling it. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who might need to hear it today. Keep spreading kindness in your corner of the world, and remember that every act of honesty and integrity creates ripples of goodness that extend far beyond what we can see. Until our next story together, take care of yourselves and each other.